They didn't just come for her channel. They came for her rent money. They came for her groceries. They came for every single dollar a hardworking black woman built with her own 2 hands, one upload at a time. And honey, I need y'all to sit down for this one, because what allegedly just happened to Pink Mafia Report is not drama. It's not tea. It's a warning shot fired at every single creator who has ever pressed record and told the truth about Claressa Shields. If you talk about her the wrong way, if you refuse to clap on command, if you dare to look at the controversies and say the quiet part out loud, your platform can allegedly get hit with a 90-day suspension faster than Claressa throws a right hook. And the terrifying part is not that it happened. The terrifying part is that I stood right here on this channel less than a week ago and told you it was coming. Word for word, name by name. I said watch the pattern. And baby, the pattern just showed up wearing Pink Mafia Report's face. So before we go anywhere, I need you to understand something. This is not just a story about one YouTuber losing her monetization. This is a story about power, about silence, about who gets to speak in this culture and who allegedly has the machinery to shut you up. And by the time this video is over, you're going to see exactly why I believe this is the most important conversation happening in this community right now. Stay with me. Now let me back up and lay the foundation, because some of y'all are new here and I refuse to leave anybody behind. A couple of days ago, I uploaded a video about what I called the rehabilitation campaign. And what did I mean by that? I meant that there is a visible, coordinated feeling push happening across media outlets, across publications, across certain celebrity circles, to remake the public image of Claressa Shields. The goal, as I described it, is simple to say and hard to swallow. Highlight the belts. Highlight the wins. Highlight the history-making moments inside the ring. And then, gently but firmly, ask the audience to please stop looking at everything happening outside of it. The accusations, the public feuds, the social media conduct that has left a bad taste in so many mouths, the criticism involving her personal relationships and the way she carries herself on the internet. Sweep it under the rug, put a championship belt on top of the rug, and call it a celebration. And I told y'all then, I looked directly into this camera, and I said, this is not going to stop. I said more outlets would come forward carrying water. I said creators who had barely whispered the name Claressa Shields on their platforms would suddenly develop a deep and passionate interest in defending her honor. And I said something else. I said people were going to get silenced. I said people were going to get targeted. I said people were going to get attacked. Y'all, I was not being dramatic. I was reading the writing on a wall that had been scribbled on for months. Because by the time I made that video, we already had smoke. Two Tone's Twitter account had reportedly been suspended, and yes, I believe he eventually got it back, but the suspension happened. Frank's cooking channel was reportedly taken down altogether, gone, wiped off the map. And over on Instagram, there were complaints coming out of the Remy Ma group chat community about interference, about strange activity, about the kind of weird behind-the-curtain behavior that makes your skin crawl if you've been in this space long enough to know what it usually means. So when I tell you the signs were there, understand that the signs were not subtle. The signs were waving their arms screaming. Which brings us to the moment everything shifted. Pink Mafia Report went live. Now if you don't know her work, let me put some respect on it real quick, because she has earned it. She runs multiple channels. She covers Claressa Shields on one of them. She has another platform focused primarily on Cardi B while touching other topics. And no matter which lane she's driving in, the woman works. Consistent uploads. Real coverage. The kind of grind that anybody who has ever tried to build something on YouTube recognizes instantly and respects deeply. And in that live stream, the title alone hit like a brick through a window. Claressa Shields and her team allegedly got my channel demonetized. Read that again. Slowly. Because that is not a title you write for clicks. That is a title you write when you believe your livelihood just got hit by something with a name and a motive attached to it. Now let me be a responsible adult for a second, because I pride myself on telling y'all exactly what I know and exactly what I don't. I did not watch that entire live stream from beginning to end. I caught a portion of the opening, enough to hear her explain what happened in her own words, and enough to see what she was showing. According to Pink Mafia Report, she received an email from YouTube informing her that her channel was being suspended for 90 days. 90. Not a warning. Not a strike with a quick path back. 90 days of silence in an algorithm that forgets you exist if you disappear for 9. And here is the part that genuinely raised the hair on my arms. She showed the email. She walked through the appeal she had submitted. And she said something that every veteran creator in this space felt in their stomach. She said she has been through appeals before, and she had never lost one. Not once. Until now. Until the coverage of one particular boxer got serious. Baby, I'm not a mathematician, but I know a strange equation when I see one. Now, let me slow down right here, because this is the part where the story stops being about one email and starts being about a machine. Pink Mafia Report said she submitted her appeal the same way she always had. She waited, and when the answer came back, the answer was no. The suspension stands. 90 days. She posted the result publicly, and she told her audience she would be going live that same night, but not on YouTube. On Twitter, because YouTube, the platform she had poured her work into, had allegedly just been taken off the table for a full season. Think about what 90 days means in YouTube time. The algorithm does not wait for you. The audience does not wait for you. 90 days is not a timeout. It is a burial, and everybody who does this for a living knows it. As soon as I get the confirmed time and details on that Twitter live, I will drop them in the comments, because she deserves every set of eyes we can send her. And listen, before anybody jumps in my mentions talking about how this could all be one big coincidence, I need to give you the context that makes that word very hard to say with a straight face. Because this did not start with Pink Mafia Report. Not even close. Some of y'all will remember this, and I have been trying to place the exact timeline. But there was a period right around Claressa Shields falling out with Nigeria, or possibly just after, when a very specific allegation started circulating. The claim was that a group chat existed, filled with people connected to Claressa Shields, and that this chat was allegedly being used to coordinate activity against certain content creators. Not debate. Not disagreement. Coordination. The allegation was that whenever a Claressa Shields topic started moving on Instagram or anywhere else, this group would allegedly mobilize, flooding comment sections, swarming discussions, pushing one narrative and drowning every other one. And it went further than that. There were claims, and I want to be very careful with my language here because these are allegations and not established facts, that some of the individuals involved may have been receiving financial benefits for their participation. I cannot confirm that. Nobody outside that chat can confirm that. But I also cannot unhear it, and neither can you. And here is what gives those allegations weight in the court of public opinion. Nigeria herself, who was not some random outsider, but somebody who had been inside Claressa Shields' circle, appeared to expose details of how this kind of activity allegedly functioned. When the person telling you how the machine works is somebody who used to help run it, people tend to listen. The example that got discussed the most involved Remy Ma. An old photograph of Remy Ma was allegedly circulated with the goal of mocking her appearance and encouraging waves of people to flood social media with negative comments about her. The accusation, in plain language, was that this was a hate campaign, organized, deliberate, aimed at a black woman's face and name. And Remy Ma was allegedly not the only target. There were also claims about a planned online hate campaign directed at Geisha 305, including alleged attempts to get her taken down or removed from certain platforms entirely. Y'all, when the same method keeps showing up attached to the same orbit of people, at some point the pattern becomes the story. And that is why the email Pink Mafia Report showed on her livestream landed the way it did. Because the community has seen this movie before, and the community remembers how it ended for Two-Tone, how it ended for Frank, and how strange things allegedly got around the Remy Ma group chat community on Instagram. Different creators, different platforms, same weather. So when another creator who covers Claressa Shields critically suddenly gets hit with a 90-day suspension right after an appeal, she had every reason to believe she would win. People are not crazy for connecting dots. They are not paranoid. They are observant. There is a difference, and that difference matters. Now for the other half of this picture, because you cannot understand the alleged silencing without understanding the selling. While all of this has been unfolding, Claressa Shields has been receiving the kind of media embrace that most athletes would trade a title belt for. The Essence article was the centerpiece, and I talked about it in my last video, but it deserves a harder look. The framing of that piece essentially asked the audience a question. She wins her fights, so why is everybody talking about negativity instead of celebrating her? And on the surface, that sounds fair. It sounds like justice. But watch what the framing actually does. It takes every criticism, the fair ones and the unfair ones, the documented behavior and the baseless hate, and it sweeps them all into one box labeled negativity. Once everything is in that box, you never have to open it. You never have to ask which criticisms were earned. You just have to feel bad that the box exists. And then came the celebrities. Lengthy praise, glowing words, public embraces, and I noticed something that I know a lot of y'all noticed too. Almost none of that praise spent any real time on what happened inside the ring. The actual craft, the actual fight, got a sentence. The image rehabilitation got paragraphs. And meanwhile, who caught the stray? The black women who had openly criticized Claressa Shields for her behavior, her decisions, and her public conduct. They got framed as the problem. Not the controversy, the critics. That is an old trick, and I am tired of watching it work. Because here is the narrative that gets built next, and y'all have watched it get assembled in real time. The creators covering her critically are not commentators anymore. They get rebranded as harassers, as bullies, as people attacking Claressa Shields for no reason at all. And I have to push back on that with everything in me, because criticism and harassment are not the same word. They are not the same act, and pretending they are is how you justify the next step, which is making the critic disappear. Every creator has their own angle on this story. Some are harsher than others, some are fairer than others, and you are free to judge each one. But when a public figure repeatedly generates controversy through their own statements, their own posts, their own interviews, and their own conflicts, that public figure is handing people material. That does not make every criticism fair. It makes the conversation inevitable. And let me tell you why the harassment label rings especially hollow to me. Because Claressa Shields has not exactly been a stranger to the creators in this space. She has publicly clashed with multiple content creators herself. Mr. Skinny has shown what he described as receipts. Sweet Ma shared screenshots that she says show private messages where lines were crossed, where things allegedly got extremely personal and inappropriate. The kind of personal that has nothing to do with boxing and everything to do with trying to wound somebody. So when I hear that the creators are the aggressors and the champion is the victim, I have to ask which version of events we are supposed to be looking at. The one from the press run or the one from the screenshots? Because they are not telling the same story. And Claressa Shields has also been talking on her own platforms about the content creators she does not like. Whether they cover boxing specifically or cover culture more broadly, she has named names and made her feelings plain. And look, she has every right to dislike whoever she wants to dislike. That is not the issue. The issue is what allegedly happens downstream of that dislike. The reporting waves, the demonetization scares, the suspensions, the monetization issues that creators in this space whisper about in group chats because they are afraid saying it too loudly will make them next. That fear, right there, that is the product. Whether or not anyone connected to Claressa Shields ever touched a single report button, a climate where critics are afraid to speak is a climate that benefits exactly one person. And it is not the audience. Let me stay on this rehabilitation campaign for one more minute, because there is a layer to it that I do not think enough people are naming out loud. When a publication frames the story as she wins, so why is everyone being negative? What they are really doing is selling the audience a trade. They are asking you to trade your memory for a medal count. They are asking you to trade what you watch Claressa Shields say and do with your own eyes for a highlight reel and a headline. And the reason that trade keeps getting offered is that it works on people who were never paying close attention in the first place. If all you know about Claressa Shields is that she wins fights, then of course the criticism looks confusing. Of course it looks unfair. The entire strategy depends on you not knowing the rest of the record. That is not journalism. That is marketing with a byline. And notice who the trade never gets offered to. It never gets offered to the black women who were on the receiving end of the behavior being criticized. They are not confused about why the conversation exists, because they live the reason it exists. So instead of persuading them, the framing has to discredit them. Suddenly the women who spoke up are bitter, are haters, are tearing down another black woman's success. Do y'all see how slick that move is? It takes legitimate grievances and repackages them as jealousy, because jealousy does not require an answer. A grievance does. And answering is the one thing this entire campaign seems built to avoid. Now here is the other half of the machine, and it is the half that should concern every person watching this, whether you have ever posted a video in your life or not. Even if every single outlet on earth decided to run friendly coverage of Claressa Shields tomorrow, that still would not settle anything. A friendly platform can amplify a narrative, but it cannot certify one. It cannot tell you what you saw. It cannot tell you what screenshots exist, what was said in which interview, what got posted and deleted at 3 in the morning. Public discussion does not work by appointment. Nobody gets crowned the official version of events. And the moment any public figure or anyone allegedly acting on their behalf starts behaving as though one approved storyline should be the only storyline, they have stopped asking for support and started demanding obedience. Those are not the same request, and this audience has never once confused the two. And I want to plant something here that we are going to come back to, because it is the thread holding this whole situation together. Every tactic we have talked about tonight, the reports, the suspensions, the demonetization, the flooded comment sections, every single one of them shares the same fatal flaw. They all aim at the messenger, and none of them touch the message. You can remove a channel, and the conversation that channel was having continues in 50 other places. You can silence one creator, and 3 more start covering the story out of pure principle. That is the part that whoever is allegedly behind this never seems to learn. Silence does not scale. Truth does. Hold on to that, because it is going to matter by the end of this video. And now we get to the part that honestly made me stop what I was doing and just stare at the wall for a minute. Because out of everybody catching heat in this story, out of all the commentators and all the critics, the person who caught the heaviest consequence this week was not a rival fighter, was not an ex-friend, was not a celebrity. It was a woman with a camera, a work ethic, and an upload schedule. Pink Mafia Report, sitting in front of her audience, showing them an email that said her livelihood was paused for 90 days, and telling them she would see them on Twitter because the house she built on YouTube had allegedly been locked from the outside. I keep coming back to that detail about the appeals. Y'all, I cannot let it go. She had appealed before. She had won before. Every single time, according to her. And then this time, covering this subject, the door slammed. Now, I am not going to sit here and tell you I know which video triggered the suspension or which policy YouTube decided was violated, because I have not seen enough to make that claim, and I will not insult your intelligence by pretending otherwise. YouTube makes its own decisions, and sometimes those decisions are genuinely random. But I am allowed to notice timing. I am allowed to notice who was being covered. And I am allowed to remember what I predicted on this very channel days before it happened. That is not me patting myself on the back. That is me being disturbed that I was right. So let me say this next part directly. No jokes, no flavor, because it is the heart of the whole video. Everybody covers Claressa Shields. Everybody. But nobody is required to cover her from the same angle. You can agree with a creator's take, or you can think their take is garbage, and both of those reactions are legitimate. What is not legitimate, what will never be legitimate, is trying to sabotage that creator's income, threatening their platform, engineering their demonetization. That is the line, and it is not a blurry line. It is a bright one, painted on the ground in front of everybody, and crossing it allegedly makes you something worse than a fan. It makes you a saboteur. And the wildest part is that YouTube already built the exit door for people who do not want to see a creator's content. You click the 3 dots. You tap Don't Recommend Channel. You go live your whole entire life and never see that person's face again. That feature exists precisely so that dislike never has to become destruction. It takes 4 seconds. It costs nothing. It harms no one. So when somebody allegedly skips past that door and goes hunting for the report button instead, or worse, allegedly coordinates with others to do it, understand what that choice reveals. It was never about not wanting to see the content. It was about not wanting anyone to see the content. Those are 2 completely different things, and only one of them is sinister. I am speaking from the gut here because this community is supposed to have room for all of us. There is more than enough space on this platform for every creator to eat. Multiple people can cover the same story, disagree with each other loudly, and still all build audiences and pay their bills. The pie is not small. But the moment we normalize creators allegedly going after each other's monetization, we are not competing anymore. We are cannibalizing, and the only people who win that game are the people who never have to answer for what gets done in their name. And for the record, before anybody tries it, your girl does not move like that. I barely have enough hours in the day to keep my own channel fed. Between my life, my responsibilities, and everything else pulling at me, the absolute last thing I have the time or the spirit for is plotting on another creator's platform. I have never understood it, and I never will. So yes, when I watch Pink Mafia Report staring down a 90-day suspension that she believes is connected to her coverage, my question is the same question I want this whole community sitting with tonight. What are we actually doing here? What are we doing? Because if the answer is that we are building a culture where the price of commentary is your income, then nobody in this space is safe. Not me. Not you. Not the creators you love, and not even the creators you cannot stand. A weapon that only ever points at your enemy today points at you tomorrow. That is how weapons work. And before anybody shows up in these comments claiming that all of this criticism fell out of the sky for no reason, we need to talk about why the conversation around Claressa Shields exists in the first place. Because it did not fall out of the sky. It was built, brick by brick, in public, on camera, on timelines, by the champion herself. This is the woman who has had public smoke with Remy Ma, public smoke with Alicia Baumgardner, public smoke with Amanda Serrano. 3 names, 3 separate conflicts, and that is just the top of the list. And every single time one of those fires starts to die down, something reignites it. A post, a comment, an interview answer that could have been a no comment and instead became gasoline. Remember what Monique described from that fight weekend meet and greet. The version of Claressa Shields that shows up around celebrities, gracious and glowing, and then the version that returns to social media and picks the same fights all over again. And Monique did not invent that observation. She just said out loud what a whole lot of people had already clocked. And look at the pattern after the press runs. Claressa Shields sits down on a platform like Nightcap with Shannon Sharp and Chad Okosinko. The conversation is polished, the image is managed, and then within days, sometimes hours, the same online drama flares right back up across Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, the comments, the posts, the private messages. Every single time. At some point, you have to stop asking why people keep talking and start asking who keeps giving them something to talk about. And here is the expectation underneath all of it that I find genuinely impossible to respect. The expectation that everyone should overlook what they have watched with their own eyes, the disrespect toward other black women, the shots at black celebrities and black athletes, the personal life controversies that Claressa Shields herself has placed in front of the public, and then on top of overlooking all of it, hand over unconditional support. Unconditional. Baby, respect is not an entitlement program. Support is not a tax the public owes a champion. You can be the greatest to ever lace up the gloves and still have people decline to clap for the way you carry yourself outside the ring. Both of those things can be true at the same time, and the refusal to accept that is, in my opinion, the engine of this entire mess. If Claressa Shields had ever simply let people talk, the talk would have burned itself out months ago. Controversy starves when you stop feeding it. But you cannot keep serving meals and then act outraged that people keep showing up to eat. Now I want to get personal for a minute, because I need y'all to understand that my position on this did not come from theory. A while back, in a completely different lane of content, somebody reported one of my videos and claimed it was sexual content. The video was about Stormy Steele. There was nothing remotely sexual in it. Nothing. And I say that as somebody who had been creating on this platform for around 5 years at that point and had never once produced material like that. I appealed, calm and confident, because I knew what was in my own video. The appeal was denied. The video got age restricted. And I remember sitting there genuinely shaken, not because of one video, but because of what that moment taught me. Somebody, somewhere, for reasons I will never know, decided to aim at me, and the system let the shot land. No conversation. No human being asking questions. Just a stranger's accusation and an automated consequence. That experience rewired how I see every one of these stories. Because once you have felt how fast it can happen to you, you stop seeing suspensions and demonetization as abstract platform business, and you start seeing them for what they are, which is pressure points. And my philosophy has been the same ever since. If you have a problem with me, come to me. Directly. Send the DM, send the email. Say it with your whole chest, and I will respect you even if we never agree. What I have no respect for is the behind-the-scenes game, the quiet reports, the coordinated little campaigns, the coward's route. And I do not care whose name is attached to it. It is weak when a random troll does it, and it is weak if a millionaire circle does it. Weak is weak. And since we are talking about the cast of this story, let me make sure everybody understands who has been standing where, because the lineup matters. You have creators like Mr. Skinny, who did not just talk, he presented what he described as receipts, documented, timestamped, on the record. You have Sweet Ma, who put screenshots in front of the public and said this is how I was allegedly spoken to behind closed doors, personal, inappropriate, way past the line of anything professional. You have Nigeria, who went from insider to whistleblower and started describing machinery that outsiders were never supposed to know about. You have Geisha 305, who allegedly found herself in the crosshairs of a campaign she never asked to be part of. And you have Remy Ma, a veteran in this culture, allegedly getting her appearance mocked by circulated photos like this is middle school with a marketing budget. Every one of those names represents a human being who was allegedly on the receiving end of something organized. And now Pink Mafia Report joins that list, not because of what she allegedly did to anyone, but because of what was allegedly done to her. Now I want to talk directly to the creators watching, because this next part is for us. I know how some of y'all are feeling right now, because I have felt it. You watch a situation like this unfold, and you start doing the math in your head. Is this topic worth it? Should I pull that video? Should I soften that take? And I am not going to stand here and tell you not to be careful, because I already told you to protect your platforms, and I meant it. But hear me on this. The goal of intimidation is never just to silence the person it hits. The goal is to silence the 100 people watching it happen. The suspension of Pink Mafia Report is not just about her channel. It is allegedly about the next creator who opens their mouth about Claressa Shields and thinks twice. That is the audience this move was performed for. Us. And the only correct response to a performance meant to frighten you is to refuse the role. That does not mean being reckless. It means being precise. Report what you can support. Label allegations as allegations, the way I have done all night. Keep your receipts organized and your uploads backed up. And above all, do not let anyone convince you that fair commentary is a crime scene. It is not. It never has been. The day this community accepts that covering a public figure's public behavior is an act of aggression is the day every commentary channel on this platform might as well close its doors. And I did not build my channel 5+ years of work, of consistency, of showing up when I was tired, and when life was pulling me in 10 directions just to hand the keys to somebody's feelings. And one more thing to my fellow creators, and I say this with love. If you have been in this space long enough, you have had a moment where another creator's coverage irritated you. Maybe their angle on Claressa Shields was harsher than yours or softer than yours, and you felt some kind of way about it. That is normal. That is human. But the second your irritation starts daydreaming about their downfall, check yourself. Their success is not your failure. Their audience is not stolen from your audience. There is room on this platform for every single one of us to eat. And the only people who benefit when creators go to war with each other are the people watching from a distance, laughing, while the whole community does their dirty work for free. Do not be free labor for somebody else's grudge. So where does that leave us? It leaves us here, at the part of the story where I tell you what I think happens next, and y'all already know I do not make these predictions to hear myself talk. I make them because this situation has a rhythm, and I have been listening to it for a long time. Claressa Shields did not get the reaction she expected after this fight. That matters more than anything else happening right now. She got the celebrity embraces, she got the glowing article, she got the press run polish, and the culture still did not give her the full parade. The criticism did not drown. The questions did not stop. The broader controversy stayed right there in the conversation, like furniture that refuses to be moved. And when image management fails to deliver the silence it was built to deliver, the next move is never reflection. The next move is escalation. That is why I told you days ago that more people would be targeted. And that is why I am telling you tonight that I do not believe this wave is finished. If you are a creator covering this story, protect your platform. Back everything up. Watch your email like a hawk. Be intentional about what you post and how you phrase it, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Because if the same circle that allegedly went after Two-Tone and Frank and the Remy Ma group chat community and allegedly Geisha 305 really is connected to what happened to Pink Mafia Report, then nobody covering Claressa Shields honestly should be sleeping easy. And if that is what happened, it is disgusting. Full stop. There is no championship belt heavy enough to make that behavior respectable. Now, could I be wrong? Of course. YouTube makes baffling decisions every single day, and maybe this one lands in the coincidence column. I will be the first to say it if the facts ever take us there. But I did not fall off a turnip truck yesterday, and neither did you. And when smoke keeps rising from the same direction, at some point you stop debating whether there is a fire, and you start asking who keeps lighting the matches. Either way, removing a video does not erase a conversation. A suspension does not dissolve criticism. You cannot report your way into being beloved, and you cannot demonetize your way out of your own digital footprint. Claressa Shields built a remarkable legacy inside that ring, and she has also built a public record outside of it, and both of those records belong to the conversation whether anybody likes it or not. And to Pink Mafia Report, if any part of this reaches you, this community sees you. 90 days is long, but it is not forever, and the people who rock with real work do not forget who did it. I will keep the links to her platforms pinned in my comments, including her other channel where she covers Cardi B, because supporting a creator costs you nothing and means everything when they are under attack. She said she is going live on Twitter, and the second I confirm the details, they will be right here for you. Now I need to hear from y'all, and I mean really hear from you, because this one is bigger than gossip. If you are a creator, tell me, have you ever had content hit with a report, a restriction, or a demonetization that made no sense? And did you ever find out why? And for everybody watching, I want your honest answer to this. Should creators stand together publicly when one of us gets hit like this, even if we disagree with each other's content? Or is every creator truly on their own out here? And one more. Is a 90-day suspension ever a fair price for commentary? Any commentary? And if it is, tell me where the line should be. Drop it all in the comments because I read every single one, and this conversation needs your voice in it. I opened this video telling you that they allegedly came for a black woman's rent money because she refused to clap on command. Nothing I have shown you tonight has talked me out of that framing. If anything, the pattern talked me deeper into it. The image campaign will keep rolling. The praise pieces will keep publishing. And if my read on this rhythm is right, another name we all know is going to get hit before this is over. And when that happens, remember you heard the warning here first. The only question left, the one I cannot answer yet, is who allegedly pressed the button on Pink Mafia Report, because suspensions do not fall from the sky either. Somebody filed something. And when those receipts surface, and they always surface, we are going to have a whole other conversation. Make sure you are subscribed with the bell on so you do not miss it. Share this with a creator who needs the warning, and I will see you on the next one. Protect your platforms. Protect each other. Peace. And understand this before we go. This story is not ending tonight. The appeal results are public. The community is watching, and every creator covering Claressa Shields just learned exactly what the stakes allegedly are. Pink Mafia Report said she is not backing down, and honestly, neither am I. So keep your notifications on, keep your receipts close, and keep showing up for the creators who show up for you. Because if this pattern keeps moving the way it has been moving, the next chapter is already being written. And when it drops, we're going to break it all down right here, together, the same way we always do. No fear, no silence, no games behind the scenes. Just the conversation, out loud, exactly where it belongs.